Hello everyone. In this video, we will continue with our chapter Atoms and Molecules. In this video, we will learn about molecules. What is a molecule? What are the types of molecules of elements and the molecules of compounds? We will also learn about ions. We will learn how to write chemical formulae. The last topic that we will cover will be molecular mass and mole concept. Let's start then. What is a molecule? A molecule is in general a group of two or more atoms that are chemically bonded together. This chemical bonding is a result of the strong attraction forces. Molecule can be defined as the smallest particle of an element or a compound that is capable of an independent existence and shows all the properties of that substance. You can make out the differences between atoms and molecules now. Atoms form molecules and molecules form elements and compounds. And these elements and compounds form substances. The properties of a molecule are defined by the types of atoms it is made up of, and in turn, the properties of a substance are defined by the molecules it is constituted of. Atoms of the same element or of different elements can join together to form molecules. However, there is a difference when atoms form molecules of elements and when they form molecules of compounds. Molecules of elements. The molecules of an element consist of the same type of atoms. Generally, atoms of the same elements join together to form molecules in order to achieve a stable state. Molecules of many elements are made up of only one atom of that element. Examples can be argon, helium, etc. Non-metals act a little different here. For instance, a molecule of oxygen consists of two atoms of oxygen, which is why it is called a diatomic molecule, O2. Instead of the regular two atoms of oxygen combining, if three atoms of oxygen combine together to form a molecule, we get ozone, O3. The number of atoms constituting a molecule is known as the atomicity of the molecule. When we talk about metals and other elements such as carbon, these do not have a simple structure. Instead, they consist of a very large and indefinite number of atoms bonded together. Here is a table giving the atomicity of some elements, particularly non-metals. Since a single atom of argon is stable, so argon is monoatomic in nature. Similar is the case of helium. Oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen and chlorine are some examples of diatomic atomicity. These elements require two atoms to exist in a stable state. This is why you will generally come across these elements in the states O2, H2, N2 and Cl2. Phosphorus, another non-metal, exists with the tetraatomic atomicity, which means it requires 4 atoms of phosphorus to achieve a stable state. Sulfur is known to be polyatomic as it exists as S8 in the stable state. Atomicity greater than diatomic is called to be polyatomic. But when we say tetraatomic or triatomic, it is because we want to specify the atomicity. Molecules of compounds. When different elements join together in different proportions, they form molecules of compounds. This is a table showing some compounds with their combining elements and the by-mass ratio of those elements. The first one is water. We already saw that hydrogen and oxygen combine to form water in the formula H2O. The biomass ratio of these elements is 1:8. Ammonia is formed by nitrogen and hydrogen in the formula NH3. The biomass ratio of the elements is 14:3. Carbon dioxide is formed by carbon and oxygen in the formula CO2. The biomass ratio is 3:8 for these elements. I have mentioned quite a lot of times that the chemical formula of water is H2O. This essentially means that there are two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen in water. This can be verified by using the biomass ratio of hydrogen and oxygen in water. We know that the constituting elements of water are hydrogen and oxygen. The ratio 1:8 means that for every 1 gram of hydrogen, there is 8 gram of oxygen present in water. Now from this table, we know that the atomic mass of hydrogen is 1 U and that of oxygen is 16 U. When you perform the operation mass ratio divided by atomic mass for hydrogen, you will get the value 1. Similarly, on performing this for oxygen, you will get the value 1/2. Now, to find the ratio, you need to perform 1 divided by 1/2, which will give the result 2:1. This means that in one water molecule, there are 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. The same procedure can be followed to find the ratio by number of the atoms of elements for ammonia and carbon dioxide also. You need to identify the constituent elements first and then their ratio by mass. Once you have those, you can get their atomic masses from the table and use these to calculate the mass ratio divided by atomic mass. Get these values to find the ratio. Try calculating these ratios on your own, and if you find any difficulty, leave it down in the comment section and I will help you solve them. Moving on to the next topic. When metals and non-metals combine, the compounds that are formed contain charged species, and these charged species are known as ions. A particle that is charged either negatively or positively is known as an ion. An ion, if it is positively charged, is known as a cation, whereas if it is negatively charged, it is known as an anion. For instance, sodium chloride or NaCl, very clearly you can see that the constituent elements here are sodium, which is a cation, that is Na with a positive charge, and chloride, which is an anion, that is Cl with a negative charge. In case of ions, it is not necessary that all the atoms of the constituent elements have charge in them. Instead, ions may consist of a single charged atom or a group of atoms that have net charge on them, which means that a group of atoms which have a total charge on them. Now these groups of atoms carrying charge are called polyatomic ions. Now this table shows some examples of ionic compounds. Calcium oxide is a compound formed by calcium cations and oxygen anions with a biomass ratio of 5:2. Magnesium sulfide is a compound formed by magnesium cations and sulfide anions with a biomass ratio 3:4. Sodium chloride, as we have already seen, has sodium cation and chloride anion. The biomass ratio here is 23:35.5. Can you try to find out the ratio by number of atoms of elements for these compounds? Refer to the atomic mass table and follow the same procedure as you had earlier. Next, we will learn how to write the chemical formula for any compound formed. But first, what is a chemical formula? The chemical formula of a compound is a symbolic representation of its composition. For writing the chemical formula of compounds, you need to learn the symbols of the elements and their valency. But what is a valency? The combining power or the capacity of an element is known as the element's valency. The valency can be used to find out how the atoms of an element will combine with the atom or the atoms of another element to form chemical compounds. To understand the concept of valency better, imagine valency to be the arms of the atom. An octopus has 8 arms and we humans have 2 arms. Now imagine a situation when the octopus has to hold a few people in such a manner that all 8 arms of the octopus and both arms of all the humans are locked. How many humans do you think the octopus will be able to hold in this manner? Now represent the octopus with the symbol O and humans with the symbol H. Try writing the formula for this combination. You should get the formula as OH4. Here the subscript 4 indicates that the number of humans held by the octopus are 4. This table shows the valencies and the type of charge, be it positive or negative, for the ions of the elements. Now when you look at the table, it is quite evident that metals have a positive valency and non-metals have a negative valency. And this rule is true always. There are some special cases of elements which have more than one valency. Their valency varies for different compounds. Such elements have their valency mentioned in Roman numerals in the table. There are some rules that have to be followed while writing the chemical formula of any compound. These rules are: the first rule, the valencies or the charges in the ion must balance out. You will understand this better when we take some examples a little later. The second rule says, when a compound consists of a metal and a non-metal, the name or symbol of the metal is written first. For example, calcium oxide has the formula CaO. Sodium chloride has the formula NaCl. Iron sulfide with the formula FeS and copper oxide with the formula CuO. Now in all of these examples, oxygen, chlorine, sulfur, all three of these are non-metals and are written on the right side in the formula, whereas calcium, sodium, iron and copper are metals and these are written on the left side. The third rule says that in compounds formed with polyatomic ions, the ion is enclosed in a bracket before writing the number to indicate the ratio. In case the number of polyatomic ion is 1, the bracket is not required. For example, sodium hydroxide or NaOH and calcium hydroxide or CaOH whole twice. Let's try writing the chemical formula for a few simple compounds. Now by simple compounds it is meant that the compounds that are formed by two elements. These type of compounds are also known as binary compounds. While writing the chemical formula for compounds, write the constituent elements and their valencies one below the other. Then cross over the valencies of the combining elements. Let's take some examples now. The first one, hydrogen chloride. We write the symbols of the constituent elements first and then write their valencies below the symbols. So, the symbol for hydrogen is H and that for chlorine is Cl. The valencies of the elements is 1. After that, we cross over the valencies, that is, pass the valency of one element to the other. This gives us the formula for hydrogen chloride as HCl. The second one, hydrogen sulfide. The constituent elements here are hydrogen and sulfur and their symbols are H and S respectively. The valency of hydrogen is 1 and that of sulfur is 2. After doing the crossover, we get the formula as H2S. The third one, carbon tetrachloride. The constituent elements are carbon and chlorine with symbols C and Cl respectively. Carbon carries a valency of 4 and chlorine carries a valency of 1. Crossover gives the formula CCl4. The next one is magnesium chloride. Now here we will use the ions of the constituent elements. Magnesium, which has the symbol Mg, is a cation with the positive charge of 2. Chlorine with the symbol Cl is an anion with a single negative charge, that is 1. On doing crossover for their charges, we get the formula MgCl2. This shows that in magnesium chloride, there are 2 chlorine ions for each magnesium ion. The positive and negative charges must balance each other out. Now here is where you understand the rule I had told you earlier. You can see that magnesium has a positive charge of 2, whereas chlorine has a negative charge of 1. The positive charge is clearly more than the negative charge. To balance this imbalance of charges, we do the crossover. The formula MgCl2 has charges balanced as there are 2 chlorine ions present which make the presence of negative ions also 2. Balancing these charges is essential to make the structure neutral. However, in the formula, the charges are not indicated. The next ones are aluminium oxide and calcium oxide. In calcium oxide, the valencies of both calcium and oxygen is the same. So you may think of the formula to be Ca2O2, but we can simplify the formula and write it as CaO instead. Next ones are sodium nitrate, calcium hydroxide, sodium carbonate and ammonium sulfate. In all of these examples, you can see the bracket rule clearly. In these examples, nitrate, that is NO3, hydroxide, that is OH, carbonate, that is CO3 and sulfate, that is SO4 are all polyatomic ions. When these ions combine with their respective metals to form compounds, the charge that they get after performing the crossover is written after brackets. For example, in calcium hydroxide, after crossover, OH ion gains a charge of 2 positive, which is indicated by putting brackets for the ion and mentioning the charge outside. This indicates that there are 2 hydroxyl or OH groups joined to one calcium ion. In other words, there are 2 atoms each of oxygen and hydrogen in calcium hydroxide. In situations like sodium nitrate and sodium carbonate, the polyatomic ion gains a single charge and therefore brackets are not necessary. However, in ammonium sulfate, the ammonium ion gains a charge of 2 negative and therefore brackets are put for the NH4 ion. Just like we had seen atomic mass, molecular mass runs on a similar concept. The sum of the atomic masses of all the atoms in a molecule of the substance gives the molecular mass of the substance. Molecular mass, therefore, is the relative mass of a molecule expressed in atomic mass units or U. Let's take an example. You are given one molecule of water, that is H2O, and you are asked to calculate the relative molecular mass of this molecule. The first step that you need to follow is write the constituent elements and their atomic masses. So here we have hydrogen with atomic mass 1U and oxygen with atomic mass 16U. Then, since in one molecule of water there are two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen, the calculation of molecular mass will be 2 into 1 plus 1 into 16, which will give us 18U. So the molecular mass for H2O is 18U. One more example. You are given one molecule of HNO3 and you have to calculate the molecular mass of it. First step, write the constituent elements and their atomic masses. So hydrogen with atomic mass 1U, nitrogen with atomic mass 14U and oxygen with atomic mass 16U. With one atom of hydrogen, one atom of nitrogen and 3 atoms of oxygen, the molecular mass will be 1 plus 14 plus 3 into 16. This will give us 63U. The formula unit mass of a substance is a sum of atomic masses of all the atoms in a formula unit of a compound. This sounds very similar to the molecular mass we just saw. In fact, the calculation is also done in the same manner as for molecular mass. So what is the difference between both of them? Formula unit mass is a term used for substances whose constituent particles are ions. Example, sodium chloride NaCl constitutes of Na positive and Cl negative ions. The formula unit mass for NaCl can be calculated as 1 into 23 plus 1 into 35.5, which will give us 58.5 U. Another example, calculate the formula mass for CaCl2 or calcium chloride. Here there is a presence of Ca plus ions and Cl minus ions. So the formula unit mass will be calculated as atomic mass of calcium plus 2 into atomic mass of chlorine. So that will give us 40 plus 2 into 35.5. So that will give us 111 U. That will be the formula unit mass for calcium chloride. How does the reaction of hydrogen and oxygen to form water look like? So 2H2 plus O2 gives us 2H2O. This is a balanced chemical reaction. Now this reaction indicates some things. The first is 2 molecules of hydrogen combine with 1 molecule of oxygen to form 2 molecules of water, or 4U of hydrogen molecules combine with 32U of oxygen molecules to form 36U of water molecules. I hope you understood this point with the molecular masses being mentioned. Now in the chemical reaction that I have mentioned here, the number written before the symbol of the element indicates the number of molecules of that element included, and the subscript of the number after the symbol of the element indicates the number of atoms of that element. From the equation, you can understand one thing, that the quantity of a substance can be characterized by its mass or the number of molecules. But since a chemical equation directly tells us the number of atoms or molecules taking part in the reaction, therefore it is more convenient to refer the quantity of a substance in terms of the number of its molecules or atoms rather than their masses. Now, this reference led to the introduction of a new unit, mole. What is a mole? One mole of any species, be it atoms, molecules, ions, or particles, is that the quantity in number having a mass equal to its atomic mass or molecular mass in grams. The number of particles, be it atoms, molecules, or ions, present in one mole of any substance is fixed, and that fixed value is 6.022 into 10 to the power of 23. This is an experimentally obtained value. This is called the Avogadro constant or Avogadro number, which is represented by N naught. This constant was named in the honor of the Italian scientist Amedeo Avogadro. So 1 mole of anything is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power of 23 in number, which is similar to 1 dozen equaling to 12 numbers, or 1 score equaling to 20 numbers, or 1 gross equaling to 144 numbers. A mole, even though is related to a number, it has one more advantage over a dozen or a score or a gross. This advantage is that mass of 1 mole of a particular substance is also fixed. The mass of 1 mole of a substance is equal to its relative atomic mass or its relative molecular mass in grams. The atomic mass of an element gives us the mass of one atom of that element in atomic mass units, that is U. Now, in order to get the mass of 1 mole, also called molar mass, we take the same numerical value but change the unit from U to G, that is grams. Molar mass of atoms is also known as gram atomic mass. For example, hydrogen has the atomic mass of 1 U. So, the gram atomic mass of hydrogen will be 1 G. How does this change in units make a difference? 1 U hydrogen has only 1 atom of hydrogen, but 1 gram of hydrogen has 1 mole atoms, that is 6.022 into 10 to the power of 23 atoms of hydrogen. Similarly, 16U oxygen has only 1 atom of oxygen, but 16 gram oxygen has 1 mole atoms, that is 6.022 into 10 to the power of 23 atoms of oxygen. Now, to find the gram molecular mass or molar mass of a molecule, keep the numerical value the same as the calculated molecular mass. Just simply change the unit from U to G. For example, as we calculated for water, H2O, the molecular mass is 18U. This means that 18U water has only 1 molecule of water and 18 gram of water has 1 mole molecules of water, that is 6.022 into 10 to the power of 23 molecules of water. Mole is the chemist's counting unit. While performing reactions, chemists need the number of atoms and molecules. But since counting the number of atoms and molecules physically is practically not possible, the chemists relate the mass in grams to the number. So, 1 mole is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power of 23 number, which is equal to relative mass in grams. Before moving on to the numerical, take a look at some symbols that we will be using while solving the numerical. Keep in mind you have to use the same symbols. So number of moles is equal to small n, given mass will be equal to small m, molar mass is equal to capital M, given number of particles is equal to capital N, Avogadro number of particles is equal to n naught. Let's look at the numerical now. You are supposed to calculate the number of moles in 52 grams of helium, which means you have to find mole from given mass. The first step will be to write the atomic mass of helium, that is 4U. Next, we write this atomic mass as molar mass by changing the unit from atomic mass unit to grams. So, the molar mass of helium is 4 grams. Therefore, the number of moles, that is small n, will be given mass divided by molar mass. So, small n is equal to small m divided by capital M, which will be 52 divided by 4, which will give us 13. So, in 52 grams of helium, there exist 13 moles of helium. Next numerical, you are given 12.044 into 10 to the power 23 number of helium atoms, and you are to calculate the number of moles. Here you have to find mole from number of atoms. First step, we know that in 1 mole there are 6.022 into 10 to the power of 23 particles. So, the number of mole, that is small n, will be given number of particles divided by Avogadro number. So, small n will be equal to capital N divided by n naught, which is 12.044 into 10 to the power 23 divided by 6.022 into 10 to the power 23, which is equal to 12. Therefore, in 12.044 into 10 to the power of 23 number of helium atoms, there exist 2 moles of helium. Next, you are to calculate the mass of 0.5 mole of nitrogen gas, which means you have to calculate mass from mole of molecule. N2 nitrogen gas is a molecule. So, mass is equal to molar mass into number of moles, which is small m is equal to capital M into small n, which will give you 2 into 14, since you are calculating the mass of molecule, into 0.5, which is equal to 14 grams. Then you are given 0.5 mole of nitrogen atoms, and you have to calculate the mass, that is mass from mole of atom. So, mass is equal to molar mass into number of moles, which will give 14 into 0.5, which is equal to 7 grams. So, 0.5 mole of nitrogen atoms have a mass of 7 gram. The next numerical says that you have 3.011 into 10 to the power 23 number of nitrogen atoms, and you are to calculate its mass, This is calculating mass from number. This is similar to the numerical we have already seen. So in the first part, calculate the number of moles, that is small n, by given number of particles divided by Avogadro number. So small n will be equal to capital N divided by n naught, which is 3.011 into 10 to the power 23 divided by 6.022 into 10 to the power 23. So mass is equal to molar mass multiplied by number of moles, which will give you small m is equal to capital M multiplied by small n, which is equal to 14 multiplied by 3.011 into 10 to the power of 23 divided by 6.022 into 10 to the power of 23, which is equal to 14 multiplied by 0.5, which will give you 7 gram. So the mass of 3.011 into 10 to the power 23 number of nitrogen atoms is 7 gram. Next, calculate the mass of 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 number of N2 molecules, which is mass from number. Following the same procedure, calculate the number of moles first. Then calculate the mass of these moles. So what you have to do is small n is equal to capital N divided by n naught, which is the Avogadro number. So small m is equal to capital M multiplied by capital N divided by the Avogadro number, which will be equal to 28 multiplied by 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 divided by 6.022 into 10 to the power 23, which is 28 grams. Next up, you have to calculate the number of particles in 46 grams of sodium atoms. This is calculating number from mass. So number of atoms will be given mass divided by molar mass multiplied by Avogadro number. So that is capital N is equal to small m divided by capital M multiplied with the Avogadro number. This will be equal to 46 divided by 23 into 6.022 into 10 to the power of 23, which will be equal to 12.044 into 10 to the power of 23. Next question, calculate the number of particles in 8 grams of O2 molecules. This is number of molecules from mass. Here you have to follow the same procedure as the previous numerical. So given mass divided by molar mass multiplied by Avogadro number. One thing you need to be careful of here is that you are given oxygen molecules, that is O2. So the molar mass will be 16 multiplied by 2, which will give you 32 grams. So capital N will be equal to 8 divided by 32 multiplied by 6.022 into 10 to the power of 23. This will be equal to 1.5055 into 10 to the power of 23. You can roughly equate this to 1.51 into 10 to the power 23. Next, you have to calculate the number of particles in 0.1 mole of carbon atoms. This is number from given moles. So number of particles, which here are atoms, is equal to number of moles of particles into Avogadro number. So capital N is equal to small n multiplied by n naught, which will be equal to 0.1 multiplied by 6.022 into 10 to the power 23, which is equal to 6.022 into 10 to the power 22.